Hey everyone, Lance from Cinematic Galaxy here today. And look, I've tried waiting until my computer gets up again, my internet gets up to upload my review of The Hobbit, but because I already had that review edited and done. But it's just taking forever, and the film came out almost 2 months ago now. So I just really want to get this review out to you guys because really, I want to get it out. So anyway, yeah, The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey. First of all, I want to note that this film was actually, along with The Dark Knight Rises, they were both tied for my most anticipated film of 2012. Both of them I was incredibly excited to see. The Dark Knight for being the epic conclusion to Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, and The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey for being an adaptation of one of my favorite books, especially after Lord of the Rings was already done. And I was so excited for this film. And as you know, The Dark Knight Rises certainly lived up to my expectations. So to see if my other most anticipated film could, that was definitely pretty tantalizing. And also, this film just had so much talk going into it about the 48 frames per second and about the fact that it was split into a trilogy when it was just one little book and all that stuff. And, sure, I kind of had my skepticism about it after hearing all that, but I didn't let that get me unexcited for the film. I was every bit as excited for this movie as I've always been. And I'm very happy to tell you guys that The Hobbit absolutely lived up to and probably surpassed my expectations. I was so extremely satisfied and fulfilled by this film. And the film has a 65% on Rotten Tomatoes. And a lot of that actually has to do with the 48 frames and all that, which I actually saw it in 24 frames, so I can't comment on that. I'm not really going to talk about that. I'm just going to talk about the movie that I saw. Basically, for me, The Hobbit was everything I wanted it to be. It was everything I needed it to be. It was such a great, kind of reintroduction to the Middle-earth world that J.R.R. Tolkien created. And I have to say that, once again, I'm just so impressed with the world he created. And that's really a praise to his works and to what he did with, literally with the story. It's just so amazing. And also, I love, just how the design of the Shire, seeing the Shire again, hearing that music again by Howard Shore, just all of that stuff, it just all really came together. And I was instantly transported back into that universe. And yeah, it was so great to see. First of all, I just want to say that I saw this film on a midnight release. This was my first ever midnight release film. I saw it with 3 other friends of mine, and we were all blown away, I think. The whole theater was packed, and you could just feel the kind of collective buzz in the room. And then when that music came up and the opening titles came up, there was actually applause, I think. Some people were actually I heard gasps in the theater. That's how excited people were. And I have to say that this just very well might be the best theater-going experience I've ever had because of all that, and actually seeing it on a midnight release with all these other excited people. But anyway, on to talk about what worked so great in this film. First of all, I want to talk about I'll go ahead and talk about the visual effects. Why not? Now, the visual effects have kind of caught some flack for maybe the fact that they're not as... this film is not as gritty as Lord of the Rings, and it uses a lot more CGI, whereas Lord of the Rings probably used more practical effects and designs and whatnot. But it didn't bother me with this film because I felt like this film still used a lot of natural, real backgrounds, a lot of natural landscapes and whatnot. But I felt that the CGI actually didn't hurt this film because, for one, I thought overall it was really good CGI, but also the fact that The Hobbit was written as a lighter kid's story. That's what the author originally conceived it as, so it kind of made sense that it was a little fluffier than Lord of the Rings and a little less gritty. So I actually kind of like that. I think that makes it feel kind of more like a story, like a bedtime story or something like that, because that's what it was actually originally conceived to be. And I think that Peter Jackson and the writers did a great job of making this, not only balancing that kind of fairy tale bedtime story feel, they managed to balance that with Lord of the Rings, because what they're really doing, and the reason they're expanding it into a trilogy, is because they're connecting it and tying it with the Lord of the Rings world. And they're showing, they're going to be adapting the appendices and stuff like that. that has a lot of expanded stories of what was going on in the behind the scenes in The Hobbit. I think that's incredibly exciting. I'm actually really looking forward to that. But anyway, moving on. Also, the music by Howard Shore was absolutely brilliant and breathtaking. Just all the, he had some great new themes and some great old themes reappear. And it was just so great to see. Like that main adventure theme from the movie, the bum 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 ba bum bum bum, that was there, and it was glorious hearing that in the theater, and just seeing it right alongside the adventure. It was so great. And there was one moment in particular that I really want to talk about. All of you who've seen the teaser trailer, that song with the dwarves and Bilbo, Gandalf all around the fire in Bilbo's house, where they're where Thorin starts singing that far over the misty mountains cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old. Yeah, you get it. Anyway, yeah, that song in the film, when that came up, the whole theater, a packed theater full of excited fans, the whole theater was completely silent. I did not hear a sound. I didn't hear a rustle or anything. I mean, it was silent in that theater. Everybody had collective goosebumps at that scene. That was such a great movie moment. And nobody wanted to destroy that moment. It was so good, so perfect, and brilliantly sung. Just a brilliant moment. And anyway, that was great. Moving on, though, the characters, first of all, the script, very faithfully adapted, I think, from J.R.R. Tolkien's book. Just very well done. And then that leads me on to the acting. All of these actors I thought were brilliant. They were so great in their roles. First of all, Martin Freeman as Bilbo Baggins is pretty much everything that I saw Bilbo Baggins as being in the book. He completely embodies that character, and I think that he doesn't have a complete full character arc by this movie because it's only the first third of the book, I guess, however they're adapting it. So you're going to see him really grow as a character probably throughout the course of the three films. Even though he did grow in this film, and he was great job there. I was so satisfied with him. Also, the dwarves. I actually thought the dwarves were really good. And sure, you don't get to know them individually like you might have gotten to know the characters from the Lord of the Rings movies, but I think you really come to care for these characters as kind of a collective unit, as a group. You don't really want to lose any of them. So I thought all the actors were great. Really loved Thorin in this movie. Richard Armitage played him greatly. That character was so awesome. And then you also have Gandalf, played once again by Ian McKellen, who, even though he's definitely older, obviously, he was terrific. He seemed like he was having the time of his life. And I have to say that this film might actually have my favorite Gandalf scenes out of all of them, out of all the Lord of the Rings films, and now this film. I think that The Hobbit has my favorite Gandalf moments, and that's saying a lot. I love Gandalf. I love Ian McKellen. He practically is Gandalf. And then you've got certain other faces that are welcome to see, like Cate Blanchett as Galadriel, Hugo Weaving. And then, of course, I can't go without mentioning Andy Serkis as Gollum. The technology on Gollum has progressed incredibly. He looks amazing. And Andy Serkis's performance is as amazing as ever. He is absolutely terrific in this role, and I have to say this is probably my favorite of Gollum as well out of all the films. The Gollum is definitely the most terrifying here for sure, and his scene was probably maybe the best segment of the film. And anyway, just moving on, there are moments in this film that had the audience in complete awe. There were moments like a certain kind of rock giants. That's all I'm going to say. That scene was something that absolutely blew me away. That was so incredible seeing on the big screen. And just many, many scenes like that just had me and the audience collectively blown away, collectively just in awe. And honestly, I know a lot of people hate the character of Radagast the Brown. They say he's the Jar Jar Binks of the Peter Jackson movies. Those who didn't like him, I don't feel that way at all. I'm not saying I loved Radagast, though I did love his slay of bunny rabbits. I thought they were pretty awesome. But Radagast, I thought, was fine. He didn't ruin the movie for me or anything. If he had been in the movie a lot longer, then he probably would have. But I thought he was just fine for what he had to do. He actually kind of pushed the story along. But anyway, what's so great about this movie was that it's unlike Lord of the Rings, where it's really a quest to destroy evil. This is like a treasure hunt. You know, it's a big treasure hunt. It's kind of just a fun journey, and I think that the film was so faithful to that, and it was so true to that tone, and it still had that big kind of epic sweeping feel, but kind of in a more fun, lighthearted way, and that's just so true to what The Hobbit is. And I love this film. I loved it, and I mean, I know other people have been disappointed and whatever and this and that, but when me and some of my friends came out of this film, we were just I was raving about it probably the most, but I mean, we were all talking about it and like, wow, that was so good. You know, we got to do this again for the next one and the one after that. I mean, it was so just breathtaking. It was such a great experience. I absolutely loved The Hobbit, and a lot of people feel that the movie dragged. I can see how they feel that way. Maybe the beginning, the very first few minutes, kind of, some of that probably could have been cut. But you know what? I loved every minute of it. It didn't bother me at all. And since I'm rating this film on how I feel about it, I'm going to give The Hobbit an A+. For me, this movie was amazing. Every bit as great as the Lord of the Rings films, but in its own way. And I didn't rewatch Lord of the Rings prior to seeing this film because I know they're going to be different things. And what I think is so great about The Hobbit as well is that it feels like the first film, like the very first film. So I think when it's all said and done, people, you know, are going to be able to watch the Hobbit films and then the Lord of the Rings films, and that'll just feel complete. And I feel like once the other Hobbit films are out, a lot of people who didn't love this film are going to revisit it and maybe change how they feel about it. That's just my prediction. But anyway, guys, let me know what you thought about The Hobbit. Let me know how much you loved it or didn't love it or whatever you feel. Feel free to let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you all for watching once again. Sorry for getting this out so late to you guys, but I just had to do what I had to do. Anyway, this is Lance from Cinematic Galaxy signing off.